All right, so for 25 and 26, basically these are just the words of what we've been doing. So you're going to find the sum, which means to add, of 8p squared minus 2p plus 15 and 11 minus 2p squared minus 1. So first, I want to make sure that everything's in standard form. And the first one is, so I'm just going to do this vertically just because it's going to fit better in this little tiny square. So the first one in standard form looks like that. And the sum means to add. So we're going to be adding these. And this second one is not in standard form. So that negative 2p squared, because remember, every term has a sign and every sign has a term. But now I notice there's an 11 and a negative 1, but there's no p term. So I'm just going to stick in a placeholder of a 0 there underneath this 2p, and I'm going to combine my 11 minus 1. So that's 11 minus 1 is 10, but it's a positive 10, so I'll write plus 10 right there. And now I'll combine. So 8p squared and a negative 2p squared is 6p squared. And then negative 2p plus 0 is a negative 2p. It's kind of a hard thing to say. That's a negative. And negative 15 plus 10 is, oh, I'm sorry. That's a plus. I was just double checking. That's a plus 15. So 15 plus 10 is plus 25. So my final answer for number 25 is 6p squared minus 2p plus 25. For number 26, it says subtract this from that. So this piece right here is the beginning, because if you're subtracting from something, you have to start somewhere. And that's where this from means this is where I'm starting. So this polynomial is the one for which I'm starting with. So I'm going to do my work over here in this bigger section. W cubed plus 6w squared minus 2. This is what I'm subtracting. But this one doesn't have a w cubed term. So I'm going to stick a 0 in as my placeholder. And I'm subtracting. So I've got to remember that this means there's going to be a minus here, right? So I'm going to distribute that minus to everything. So I've got a minus 2w squared. I also noticed that I wrote this a little close because this one has a w term, but this one doesn't. So I need to go ahead and put a placeholder over here. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna rewrite this up here. Sorry, guys. Because I need a little more room. You'd think after all this time, I'd be better with the stylus. And then this is my placeholder. And then I've got my minus 2w squared. And then I've got a minus 5w, right? Because if we're subtracting, that's a minus minus. So that's going to be plus 5w. And then minus 10. So now w3 and 0, w cubed, that's going to be w cubed. And then 6w squared minus 2w is 4w squared. And then 0 plus 5w is 5w. And negative 2 and negative 10 is negative 12. So my final answer for this one is w cubed plus 4w squared plus 5w, minus 12. So that's the final answer for that one. That was 25 and 26 from yesterday's classwork. So now we'll go to today's classwork. And the student who emailed me wanted to know, let me just double check in my email. I believe that it was 7, 8, 13, and 17 for sure will be the ones that I cover. So, oops. So on number 7 and 8, we were supposed to write the polynomials in standard form. So standard form means they're going to be alphabetical first, and then put them in order according to the degrees. And the degrees are the exponents. The highest degree goes first. So the highest degree in number 7 is this y to the 4th term. So we'll do 3y to the 4th. And then the next highest degree is this 2y cubed, because that's a 3. Then the next one is y squared. And then the next one is the 7y, because that's an assumed 1. And then the final one is the constant. So that's the correct answer for that one. And number 8, the highest degree, the first is x to the 5th. And then the next one is we have an x to the 4th. And then the next is x to the 3rd. And the next, and just remember that even though we're rearranging, we're keeping that sign that goes with that term with it. So that's the final answer for that one. And just to be certain, on number 10, M comes before N. So remember that you're going to go with the highest degreed M first on number 10. The second highest degreed M is a squared. So that's how you look at those. Okay. So the first one that she has me start with is number 13. Did you have something before that, Grayson?
No, I did 11 and 12. I did 1 through 12.
Okay. So I'm going to, unless anybody has a question before number 13, I'm just going to start with number 13 then. And remember, when I'm writing on this, I can't see if you text me a question. So if somebody texts a question because they're a little too shy to speak, Grayson or somebody else, would y'all please let me know if somebody's asking me a question as I work through these. All right. So first of all, what I like to do is put the answers have to be in standard form. So oftentimes I'll start with standard form. But I'll work some of them that way where I'm actually rewriting everything in standard form, and then I'll write some of them, and then I'll do some vertical and some horizontal. But what I'm going to do for this first one is I'm going to rewrite in standard form, but then solve it horizontally. So the first polynomial rewritten in standard form is 7m squared plus 2m minus 3. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute this minus to everything inside this parentheses, which means this will then change to a plus as I distribute. So I have a minus m n 9m squared. So that's going to make that a positive 9m squared. Then I'll have a minus 2m. So that's going to make that a plus 2m. And then a minus 3. So now I've got 7m squared and 9m squared. So that's going to be 16m squared. And then I've got a 2m and a 2m. So that's going to be 4m. Then I've got a minus 3, minus 3. So that's going to be minus 6. And that's my final answer for number 13. Okay, any questions on 14? Because the next question that I got asked was 17. Are y'all good with 14, 15, 16?
For now, I might ask about it later.
Okay. I'm going to move on to 17. All right. So what I'm going to do here, X, Y, Z, that's actually in standard form. And then I've got X, Y, Z here. But what do I notice right there? That's a negative or a minus. So that has to be distributed to everything inside this second set of parentheses. So I'm gonna do that now. So I've got 2x squared plus 3y squared minus z squared. And now I'm going to distribute this to everything inside here. Nice arrows, Miss Sparks. So that's going to be, this is a plus sign. Oh, that is a little scary. Not going to even lie about that. Plus, that's going to be a negative x squared. And then a minus y squared is going to be plus y squared. And then minus z squared. So that would be a positive. And I'm going to roll right into 18. Plus 4x squared minus 3y squared. So now I'm looking for all my x squareds. So I have a 2x squared minus, this is technically a 1x squared. So now I have x squared, and then x squared plus 4x squared. So that's going to give me a 5x squared. So I've taken care of my x squareds. Sometimes when there's this many, I go ahead and cross out if I can. And then I've got a 3y squared with a y squared. So that's 4y squared. And then I've got a minus 3y squared. So that's going to give me plus y squared. And now I've got a negative z squared with a positive z squared. So those two cancel each other out, and I have no z squared over here. So my final answer is actually 5x squared plus y squared. Am I good to erase so that I can work on 18? I'll try to write smaller. Okay, so number 18. The first one is not in standard form, nor is the second. So as promised, I'm going to try to do at least one vertically. So I've got 8k cubed minus 4k squared plus 3k plus 12. And then I've got a 5k cubed plus 2k squared minus k plus 15. 8k cubed minus 4k squared plus 3k plus 12. And then 5k cubed plus 2k squared minus k plus 15. Just double checking myself. Okay, so 8k cubed plus 5k cubed is 13k cubed. Negative 4k squared plus 2k squared is minus 2k squared. 3k minus 1k is a positive 2k. And 12 plus 15 is 27. So the answer for number 18 is this. I'll give y'all just a minute to write that down, figure out if you have any other questions, and then I'm going to erase that, and I will definitely do 19 and 20. But I'm going to give you just a minute to write that down.
Could you also do number 15?
15. Yes, I can do number 15. Is everybody okay with me erasing 18? I'll rewrite the answer up there. I just want to erase my work. Is everybody got it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to rewrite the answer in the box just so that it remains there. Okay. Do you want me to go back and do 15 before I start on 19?
I guess so.
I can do that. Okay. So 3a squared minus a plus 3. That's actually in standard form. And the second polynomial is also in standard form. It's just missing one of the terms that the first one has. So if I were doing this horizontally, I would just do 3a squared plus 4a squared, which would give me 7a squared. And now I have a minus a, but no a term in the second polynomial. So I would just really be doing minus a plus 0, which would give me a minus a. And then I've got a 3 minus 5, which is a negative 2. So that's the final answer for 15. So number 19, the first one is in standard form. We're finding the sum. So that means to add. So I've got 2x squared minus 6x minus 2 plus x squared plus 4x. So 2x squared plus x squared is going to be 3x squared. Minus 6x plus 4x is minus 2x. And then I've got a constant in the first polynomial, but no constant in the second polynomial. So that means I would just be adding the constant to a 0, which means it's just itself. So my final answer for number 19 is 3x squared minus 2x minus 2. For number 20, once again, I'm subtracting this from that. So the that has to go first because that's where you begin. When you subtract something from something else, you begin where you're being subtracted from. So 3a squared minus 2ab plus 3b squared is the first term. And now when you're subtracting, got to remember there's a minus there. So you're going to be distributing the minus sign to everything inside this second set of parentheses. So I've got a minus minus a squared. So that would give me a plus a squared. And then I've got a minus minus 5ab, which would be a plus 5ab. And then I've got a minus 3b squared. So that's going to be minus 3b squared. So now I'll just combine everything. So 3a squared and a squared is 4a squared. Negative 2ab plus a positive 5ab is plus 3ab. And positive 3b squared, negative 3b squared means they cancel. So actually my final answer for this one is 4a squared plus 3ab.
Could you do 14 and 16?
Yes. Why don't you walk me through it? It's a subtraction. Is the first one, so what would I do? What do I do with the second second set?
I don't know.
What do I do with that minus sign?
I don't know. Would it be like 2p to the second? And that's all I know how to do.
Okay, so what you're telling me is, okay, so you've got 7p squared and 3p. Do I have a 3p term in the other polynomial? So what do I do?
Something to do with 0?
Yeah, that's right. So when you have a 3p and you subtract 0 from it, what do you get?
3p.
Okay. So you told me I have a 2p squared and a 3p, right? Now, I don't have a constant in the first one, but I do have a constant in the second. But I'm subtracting. So if I have a 0 in the first one, what am I going to do?
Wouldn't it be negative 4?
Yes. Very good.
Okay, that's kind of easy.
Yeah. All right, so number 16.
You start with 8w. Wait, no.
The first term has a cubed in it, but the second one doesn't.
Yeah, that's confusing.
I mean, the first polynomial. So what would I have? So I would have 5w cubed added to 0. So then what do you have?
5w cubed?
5w cubed. So that's taken care of. But now I'm working with the W squareds. And I've got a 2W squared and a 3W squared. So what would that be?
Oh, 5W squared.
Good job. 5W squared. Good
But
job.
what happened to the minus W after the 5W3?
We haven't handled it yet because we're handling them in standard form. So we're going 3, 2, 1 constant. Because your answer has to be in standard form, you want to handle it in standard form. So that way you're actually taking it each term where it's supposed to go. Because there's no point in solving everything and then writing it in standard form when you can actually skip through it and go to standard form. Does that make sense?
I guess so.
I mean, so if I wanted to handle the W, then I'd do all my work and then have to rewrite it.
No, that's
because
not a good
my
idea.
answer has to be in standard form. So it's better to take it by degrees. Now I've handled the squared. So now I am going to go back to that negative W right here, like that. You know what I'm saying? And I've got a negative W and a negative 4W. So what is that?
5W?
What kind of 5W?
Positive.
Minus W minus 4W. So if I have a negative 1 and a negative 4. So if you combine a negative 1 and a negative 4,
5.
what do you get? Yes. So negative 5W. And now, so we've handled that, and now we're at our constant. What's the constant in the first term? In the first polynomial, I mean.
4.
4. What's the constant in the second polynomial?
1.
Okay, so 4 plus 1 is
5.
So now I've handled each term, but I've done it in order, right? I handled the 5W cubed. And so all of this is in standard form. If I would have gone to this first, which would have been fine, I would have ended with a negative 5W over here, and then I would have had to rewrite it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why when I'm doing my work, I try to do it in standard form order so that I don't have to rewrite my answer, because answers must be in standard form. And standard form means that it has to be in alphabetical degreed order.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You did a good job answering those with me. Thank you. Okay.
Bye.
Bye, Grayson. Have a blessed day. Thanks for your help today.
Yeah.
To this. Okay. For those of you who ended up not being able to come at the beginning, I'm gonna actually edit this so that it's shorter. So I'm trying to edit out the beginning of it where I'm setting it up, which is about the first 3 minutes usually. So I'm going to try and edit that out. But obviously you can see I did numbers 25 and 26 from yesterday's classwork, and I pretty much did 13 through 20. Well, actually, almost all of them from today's work. Just a few that you're left to kind of do on your own. But if you have any other questions, you can email me, but I will post the recorded math lab to Google Classroom later.